And welcome back to Here I Stand, a ministry of the Christian Emergency League. We're with Lieutenant Colonel Allen West. I want to play a clip, Lieutenant Colonel, and I want for you to expound upon what I think is the greatest scourge on this country. Mm-hmm. Roll the first clip.
KKK or
But
whatever.
what about white on black crime? I'm sorry, but that's what I was asking.
Oh, okay. Well, then, have you ever heard of Margaret Sanger?
You can't just give one example for
Well,
convenience.
Margaret Sanger and the organization that she founded since 1973, almost 17 million unborn black babies have been murdered by that organization. I think that's something that we should really be concerned about. The fact that the United States government gives $568.7 million to an organization that was founded by a white supremacist, a racist, a person that spoke at Klan rallies, that referred to blacks as undesirables and weeds, I would join forces with you in a heartbeat to say that we need to cut off funding to an organization like that called Planned Parenthood. That 50, well, I don't think we give taxpayer money to the Ku Klux Klan.
You are far more tolerant and gracious than I am. But let's just put it that way.
But when you have the moral high ground,
yes,
and you're watching someone try to climb up, you just look at them and why get upset? Yeah. You know the funny thing about this, and maybe y'all didn't know, that was at Northwestern University.
I saw that. I didn't see that.
That was Northwestern University, and that is one of the most popular clips out there. I mean, it has over 20 million hits. But again, that shows you the power of when you are speaking with authority, with truth.
Yeah,
that
without fear.
And it was so interesting that after that entire episode, that young lady came up to me afterwards and said, you know, I'm shocked and I apologize. You know.
Shocked by she didn't know?
Well, yeah, because she didn't. She's regurgitating talking points that she's getting from some, knucklehead professor. Yeah. And all of a sudden she's running to someone that, kind of got some experience and, some years up here, as Solomon would talk about gray hair. And that's what we have to do. That's why I enjoy going on these college and university campuses to challenge these young people, because they don't know. They're in this bubble. They're in this little box where they're talking in and amongst themselves, but they're not getting challenged.
I don't understand why people on the right and Republicans go on offense. My dad, who was born and raised in Mississippi, he was he's a Democrat his whole life.
And like you said, my parents were too, but not like today.
That's what I'm saying. People don't understand. Yeah. And I try to tell my friends up north, a Democrat down south is not the same as a Democrat in Chicago, okay?
No.
But so I remember years ago, I was explaining to my father what partial birth abortion was. And I said, they stick the metal rod and he said, stop. My dad said, stop. He said, James, you are not going to convince me that what you're describing to me is legal in the United States of America. I said, it is, Dad. He says, no, you can't. That what you just described to me was barbaric. That is not legal. I said, Dad.
That's what's going on.
It is. And I think a lot of people, they don't know. And when you talk about what abortion truly is, how is that not a winning?
I know.
Listen, most of my family, Democrat liberals. I'm the pariah. I don't care. But when we start talking about abortion, you start explaining it to them. They can't. That's not something they can argue about.
Right. No, they can't. And when you also bring up that point that 70 to 73% of Planned Parenthood clinics are located in black communities.
Right.
Because
absolutely.
That was the goal of Margaret Sanger. And one of the problems that we have is that we assume that everyone knows what we know.
I know.
And they just don't.
I know.
They just don't. One of the big lies that the party switched. I thought, when? Well, it switched back so and so. No, the party's never switched. I mean, the Republican Party was founded in 1854 for one reason, to end slavery. The 13th, 14th, 15th Amendments were all Republican legislature and were signed into law. Jim Crow, segregation, I mean, all of these things, poll tests, literacy tests, poll taxes, all of this were tools of the Democrat Party, and again, you look at the Great Society programs of Lyndon Johnson, what that did, the adversarial effect that it had on the black community. I mean, we can just go thing after thing after thing after thing. But if we're not talking about it, if one of the things I tell people, put billboards up. Mm. Put billboards up because folks look up and they see billboards. Billboards are powerful. We did that down in Dallas, Texas, and we put a billboard up about Margaret Sanger. The left went nuts.
Why?
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden people are seeing Margaret, the truth.
Wow.
They were upset that you were
Absolutely.
speaking the truth
Oh,
on
yeah.
Margaret Sanger.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
You know
They
what?
went nuts.
That is
Okay.
that's
I
that's a
didn't know that.
very Lieutenant Colonel. I'm glad you mentioned that. We have a friend. He's actually down in Tennessee now. He was sponsoring billboards. Abortion kills children, I believe was the message. It was a good message, and I think perhaps that is worth focusing some of our attention and resources,
Well-
getting people talking about it, because it's not just the people who first see the billboard, then they talk about it with others.
Oh.
When the message is there. So you know what
And billboards are cheap.
what did the message about Margaret Sanger say? Could you share
Well,
that with us?
we just, real quick, Margaret Sanger, founder of Planned Parenthood, racist, white supremacist, spoke at Klan rallies.
Ooh, hey, that would be.
I just assumed that. I assumed the people in Dallas would know that. I don't know.
You know-
I don't know
you know
why.
what,
I don't know
James?
why.
James,
Well, what
don't
did
know
I
why.
just say? What did I just say?
Why?
We make the assumption that
Yeah,
everyone knows
yeah.
what we know.
No.
And remember what they said
Yeah.
about assume?
Right.
You make
Yeah,
a,
I know.
you know.
I know.
Yes.
I mean,
No, James, I think that's, you know what? If let's say we fought the Civil War today, it would not be
No.
North versus South.
No.
It would be your neighbor against you.
Absolutely.
The ignorance
It is.
and the mindset is permeated. So the battle is everywhere in our country.
But and again, this education thing, it also goes to how is it that young people in the United States of America think that socialism is cool?
yeah.
Ignorance.
I went to East Berlin back when I was a young lieutenant stationed overseas, and I saw it.
Yeah.
I saw rent control housing, tenements. I saw the streets. I saw government control automobile industry. I saw all of these things, and that's what people are talking about. But yet, what young people hear is free. But free does not equal freedom. And so I think it's so important, as Joshua said, as for me and my house, we've got to reclaim our homes. We have got to talk to our kids, grandkids, and whomever, even the friends of our kids when they come over,
Right.
because they're not getting these things in school. They're getting indoctrinated, not educated.
100%. What are you doing now as the CEO of the National Center for Policy?
Oh, that's
Analysis?
old. That's old.
Oh, that's old. Okay.
Yeah, that's old. I'm the
That's
executive
old.
director for the American Constitutional Rights Union. Been in that position for the last 6 years.
Got it. Okay.
And so the ACRU was founded in 1999 by Ronald Reagan's Attorney General Edwin Meese and his economic policy advisor Robert Carlson. And the whole thing was to have an organization that was the opposition to the ACLU.
Oh.
And so that's what we do. We focus on constitutional rights, freedoms, and liberties. The ACLU is about this nebulous thing. Well, they're just another leftist organization.
yeah,
Much the
entirely.
same as the Southern Poverty
Yeah,
Law Center.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's another one of the reasons why I'm up here is, we're going to go and do a little Second Amendment event later on today because, the Founding Fathers got it right. An armed individual is a citizen. A disarmed individual is a subject. And always remember here in Chicago, the Supreme Court case, McDonald versus the city of Chicago, Otis
yes.
McDonald, a black man
Yep,
who took
exactly.
this city to the Supreme Court, the highest court of the land,
Yeah.
to say that I have a right
Yeah.
to self-defense,
yes.
to be able to own a weapon. And he affirmed the Second Amendment for the state and also the local levels.
I was in Springfield when he was honored at the Illinois Gun Owner Lobby Day. That was
What
an
year was that?
amazing memory.
What year was that?
At least 10 years ago, I
Yeah,
want to
'cause
say.
I remember. I can't remember.
And that is what forced concealed carry as
in
as
Illinois.
as bad as it
Yeah,
is.
it is bad.
But that was Otis McDonald.
I have friends, pastors of a Hispanic church. They're from Venezuela, and I asked.
Oh,
them,
yeah.
I asked them because they tell me growing up, James, we had probably a higher cost of living than the United States when we were growing up.
Yes.
They said our dad, Pastor is here,
Right.
had 7 kids. Pastor,
Yeah.
he said we used to vacation all the time. My dad didn't make that much money. He said I saw Venezuela change, and I said, and I asked them,
Yeah.
why do you guys put up with that? How did you guys allow this? You know what he told me? He said, James, We didn't have the Second Amendment in Venezuela.
Yes.
Well, that was the first thing Hugo
That's what he
Chavez
said.
did. First thing Hugo
Yes,
Chavez did.
yes.
First thing Adolf Hitler did.
Yep.
And
So
when
we
you
have
look at
second-
what is happening in Iran, how can you go out and slaughter and murder 30 to 40,000 of your own people?
Because they didn't have the Second Amendment.
They can't defend themselves.
They didn't have the Second Amendment.
No,
They
that's
didn't have the
right.
Second Amendment.
So, tell us your thoughts on future political office.
Is
me?
there is there
Yes.
future political
Yes.
office?
Trust in the Lord with all thy heart, lean not upon thy own understanding. In all their ways, acknowledge him. He will guide your path.
Amen. That's beautiful.
Proverbs 3:5-6. So
Yeah.
I just want to be obedient to God and country, His will, always. But, I'm not seeking. And I look, when someone tells you, I want to run for political office, run away from that person.
That's good. No, I respect that greatly. But we have too many people who want to be
You know
politicians.
what? One of my it's a movie. Favorite line in one of the movies is Gladiator. When Marcus Aurelius comes to me and says, "You got to be Caesar," he says, "Caesar, with all my heart, I don't want it."
Yeah.
And his response is, "That's why it must be you."
Yeah. That's right.
That's true. You know what? I also looked in the Bible. You know how many prophets and kings lobbied for their position? Not one.
None of them.
Not one.
Well, some of the kings.
So,
lobbied
a few
for
did.
their
Let's take it
position.
back. Good
Few
kings.
did.
Good kings.
Yeah, good
Okay,
kings.
good kings.
Ahab,
Yeah. Good kings, not one. Apostles, they were called.
Yeah, they were
Right.
called, and that's the story of America. The story of America is that God did not call equipped; He equipped those that He called. America has seen so many ordinary people do extraordinary things over these past 250 years.
Let's talk more about that after the break. What you see are practical things Christians should be doing.
Yes.
Whether they're in Illinois or the great state of Texas. Let's focus on that. You're listening to Here I Stand, a radio ministry of the Christian Emergency League. Join us right after the break.
We'll be right back.